Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
All right, we're going to bring you some breaking news of yet another police chase happening here in Southern California. This one out of Oxnard, and you can see that white pickup truck cruising now on some surface streets. We're told this person, the suspect, is now in the area of Lake Sherwood near Thousand Oaks, but continuing, I believe, still to head southbound at one point on the 101 freeway, but again on a surface street here. Get you a better direction in a minute. Heading west on the Portero Road. Now, this all started, again, out of Oxnard. Apparently, the suspect is a man. He was wanted or is wanted on some sort of warrant. Okay, so just getting information from my producer, Courtney. He was reportedly threatening family members with a gun. So at this point, they believe he is armed, is now being pursued still, or unless they handed it off to CHP because he was on the freeway, by several officers. So we were not sure if he has any family members inside the truck at this point, or if he took off from the home as soon as officers arrived. It had started near Vineyard Avenue. And as I mentioned, had been going southbound on the 101 freeway. At one point, the truck, the suspect here, drove through a field. It's a large agricultural area up there in Oxnard with a lot of farm workers. So that must have been very frightening. I'm not sure how much damage was caused by that when he drove through the field, but then he jumped back onto these surface streets. We are joined now by our expert, one of our many experts, and we always thank them for this insight into these very tense police chases. This is Dave Aguilar on the phone. Aguilar on the phone with me. Dave Avila. I'm sorry, retired LAPD pilot. Thanks for the time, Dave. Well, here we go again. We had two police chases yesterday in Orange County, and it looks like, and I see, and they're mentioning an armored vehicle. What's that all about?
More than likely what they'll do is they're going to go ahead and follow this suspect, and knowing that he's armed, so that'll cut off the pit maneuver because you don't want to, because of the closeness. The other thing, too, is with the armored vehicle, like yesterday, if we would have had one, that would have worked out great. If this guy decides he's going to stop, you can always place that armored vehicle in the front of the suspect. You don't want to place a police car in front because of the crossfire. Officers looking north, the other officers looking south, with the suspect in the middle, of course. So what they'll do now is that they'll just keep following this suspect. But, a man with a gun, it does bring up the anxiety as far as getting law enforcement involved. So, usually you'll have three police cars, and so you'll have the initiating pursuit unit, you'll have a secondary unit, then a supervisor. But since this has been elevated now, because man with the gun, obviously, it's going to raise things. One of the most dangerous calls any officer can roll on is a family dispute, any type of verbal dispute, anything like that, because of the emotions that are involved. So you can imagine this guy had, from what we've heard so far, the disagreement with his family members. He pulled out a gun. Hopefully nobody was shot. But his emotions are really going right now. And now he's got this police car behind him, this police cruiser with the lights and the siren going. So we'll just sit back and just hopefully he'll...
And right there, Dave, right there, they tried to throw down a spike strip. Don't know if they were successful. He swerved, now right in front of some oncoming traffic. So we'll see if that was successful. But it looks like they pulled it back pretty quick, and maybe he might have avoided that spike strip as he is now heading through the Point Mugu area, just out of Thousand Oaks on Southwest Lake Boulevard. Yeah, Dave, and you said it, very tense, and we don't know how desperate this suspect, this man is at this point, if he was threatening family members, and how far he is willing to take it, of course, and that's always the fear, especially on these surface streets, and you have so many drivers unaware that this guy's just flying through, stop signs and intersections.
Yeah, and that officer had used his the engine block of his vehicle for protection when he threw that spike strip out there. And those things have a lanyard on them, so he'll throw it out there. Hopefully the suspect will run over it. Not sure if he did or not. But as soon as he does, then with the lanyard, he'll yank it back so the police vehicles don't run over it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it has to, and what a dangerous job nonetheless for them, though. And we were talking about that yesterday, how quickly this does have to happen just with spike strips. And sometimes with the pit maneuver, you don't want to do it in these, maybe a truck or a high-profile vehicle like a van.
Yeah, that's correct. And you really, I mean, as far as policy goes, you really don't want to pit a suspect with the weapon because of the closeness that's involved when you end up spinning that suspect's vehicle. So what you'll do is you'll go ahead and you'll follow them for a while. I say that, but there's always exigent circumstances that may present itself to the officers where they may just decide, hey, here's an opportunity. We can do so. We can just tag his tail in and spin him around, and then we'll floor it and get out of there and let the other officers handle him.
Yeah, and these drivers in front of this guy are saying, we're getting out of the way. They're trying to, well, with the cops all lined up behind him, we don't know what he's going to do. So, Dave, walk us through at this point, why don't officers want to jump out and try to surround him?
Well, they don't want to lose the cover that they have. Right now, they have their vehicles that are protecting them. They don't want to rush that vehicle on foot because, number one, he's armed. We do know that. The other thing is, if you notice the doors are open, it looks like they want to rush the vehicle, but they do not. What they're doing is that they're prepared. They're setting up, like some of them looks like the vehicle to the far left, closest to the camera. They'll step out of the vehicle. They'll use the vehicle's door jam and the door as cover, pull out their weapon, level it out, and hope that the suspect will give up. However, if the suspect does not and comes out shooting, then they're prepared for the worst. So you always hope for the best, train for the best, but you are prepared for the worst.
Oh, absolutely. And it took off again. He looks like he waited for the light, and, those frightened drivers ahead of him were probably glad to get out of there and out of the line of fire. I mean, it's dangerous for everyone to just start, shooting as well, and to be this close to such a tense standoff when that driver does come to a stop. So stand by, Dave, for a second. Let me catch everyone up in case you are just tuning in. You're seeing live video coming in from Sky 9 of a police chase that started in Oxnard just a short time ago. It is now it went through Thousand Oaks and mostly on these surface streets at this point. But this is a man inside of that white pickup truck wanted for threatening family members with a gun. So officers are assuming that he is still armed at this point, and he took off from them, and they've been chasing him ever since. Right near Vineyard Avenue, down southbound 101, back onto these surface streets, through Thousand Oaks and Point Magoo. He drove through a field at one point, we're hearing, and then jumped back onto these streets and continuing right on through Lake Sherwood and so on. We have on the phone with us is Dave Avalar, a retired LAPD pilot, offering insight into kind of how these officers will try to apprehend and take the suspect into custody. But Dave, every scenario is different. Every police chase is different. And you can see how many officers are following him, including an armored vehicle, because he is armed. And that will serve as protection in case they do have some sort of standoff. Okay, he did just pass that entrance, by the way, to the 101 freeway. If he's going to jump back on it or circle around, we shall see. All right, Dave, go ahead.
Oh, no, not at all. No problem at all. But, yeah, you see some of the black and whites have pulled back a little bit. They're trying to de-escalate the situation. And with any pursuit, it's always monitored and evaluated. Do the dangers or risk outweigh the need to continue the pursuit? If they're an immediate threat to the public, well, obviously there is. This guy's going through some emotional problems. He has a weapon. He's threatened people. How much, we don't know. If it was ADW, shots fired. But he does have a weapon. That's the one thing that's been verified. So we'll just go ahead and just follow him for now. With the anxiety that's going on right now, with everything that's going on, being chased by police vehicles, you can imagine he's probably pretty worked up in that thing.
And that's what's so nerve-wracking. You see him now in a shopping center. He's driving through a parking lot. This always makes me nervous, whether he speeds up or runs and crashes into a car, and we hope nothing obviously comes of this. And, people out shopping, and it doesn't look too crowded, but, you see a lot of the other cars still parked, and people will be out and about. So, okay, so he's come to a stop. Officers, again, have their doors open. They will be getting in that defensive stance and try to put an end to this, hopefully peacefully, and take him into custody without any further injury or incident.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see some other shoppers are trying to get out of there, obviously. I mean, you see something like this, you don't want to get involved at all or try to help police.
Yeah, and you could tell right now what the officers are doing is they are maintaining their cover with their vehicles, their door, the engine block, all that is in for protection. And more than likely what they're trying to do is speak to him and just say, hey, if you just calm down, we can sort this out. If you could just toss the weapon out or at least open up your door from the outside. But it looks like he doesn't really want to stop. So more than likely he's speaking to some type of family member. Mm-hmm. And hopefully they're calming him down because it's just not going to end. You got well, I believe we do have an air unit overhead. I'm not real sure, but he's not going anywhere.
Wow, yeah, and in some cases, you know, we've seen with these police chases, the suspects will try to drive into a covered parking structure so that they can then escape inside the store. You know, and that's always such a challenge for officers, and to lock everything down and try to find the correct person.
Yeah, and you know, if there's an air unit overhead, yeah, they can do that. But the air unit, what they'll do is they'll deploy units so they diagonally deploy over the whole mall. So that way they have all four corners, let's say, covered. And then once the officer's in there, you'd be surprised how many civilians. I've seen it from the air where officers went and put pursuit, lost a suspect, and citizens look up at us and would point in the direction. So the same thing goes on in these stores. You know, if somebody runs by and citizens know they're wanted by the police, it's probably pretty obvious. Then what they'll do is they'll point the direction of the suspect. But it looks like right now he's just trying to think of what he's going to do. You know, all his actions dictate the officer's reactions. So hopefully things are going to calm down. I would imagine that he is talking to somebody. You know, somebody from the family or maybe even a police negotiator.
Now, in this case, they might have been able to identify him because of those reports that they initially got about him threatening the family members and able to use the license plate possibly to maybe make the call to him.
Yeah. I mean, if you met the family, I'm sure they said, hey, here's who he is, here's what the problem is, he's a son, whatever relationship he is to him. So the officers have been briefed on all of that. And if you notice, they're all just sitting back now, and there's no need to rush the suspect now. There's not that much danger to the public as far as we can see. Hopefully there's nobody downwind from this. Right. But as you can see, they're just kind of like getting their plan together. Eventually, having a citizen drive right down
not
by
smart.
there is just
not
the best thing.
Right. I was just thinking that. Come on, don't be, you know, the curiosity and getting too close. And this is a, you know, tough situation for police. They don't want to worry about people trying to just see what's going on. And it's always unfortunate when you see this in other chases where people are coming out into the street or trying to high-five the suspect. And it just, never ends very well. I was going to mention, I mean, in another scenario, and it worries me when you're in kind of these bigger vehicles for a suspect to even use that and back it up and use it as a weapon, you know, and just how many different ways this could go.
Yeah, it all depends on what he's going through right now. Like I said before, the suspect's actions dictate on how the officers will respond. If he stays like this, then the officers will stay where they are now. He mentioned that there is an armored vehicle there. Is there any need to place that armored vehicle up front? Not right now, because that wouldn't help. Mm-hmm. It might even get him more pumped up than what he already is. So hopefully he's actually he's calming down. He's listening to what family members on with him, hopefully. But yeah, I just don't see anybody that's going to approach right now. They're kind of far back, so it's a good thing. It's going to calm him down.
Right.
Now he has time to think things out and say, okay, what am I doing? there's no need to continue this.
Right, and may have turned into this type of standoff situation. So who knows how long this is going to go on. Again, stopped right now in Thousand Oaks, this police chase that started a short time ago out of Oxnard with this man wanted for threatening some family members with a gun. So they're assuming he is armed inside of this white silver pickup truck. I do want to pull up, if we have it, just to take a look back at the spike strip that they tried to deploy to stop the suspect. We have some video of that from about, I don't know, I guess it was 10 minutes, 5 minutes ago. Okay, you see the officer right there. Dave, again, walk us through how this works. And you see him, the suspect, swerve right around it.
Yeah, that, it looks like the spike strip didn't get out there, or the officer's already yanking it back. But if you see, he was kind of crouched behind the black and white, or the, okay, no, he just came out. I thought there was a black and white there. There's not. So
well, there is a tree kind of blocking. There might be his vehicle right behind that tree.
Yeah, okay. So I figured he'd have something out there because you don't want to just stand out in the middle of it.
Well, maybe not.
It's just too dangerous. Yeah, I know.
Right.
I don't really see one.
Huh.
So I don't know. That's pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
But, but they know what this suspect's going through. Obviously, he's not trying to slam into people like we've seen in so many pursuits. So, but once he flung that spike strip out there, you've seen how he yanked it back to keep it away from the police cruisers.
Yeah.
One of the other things, too, is that if you notice how the officers are deployed, there's nobody, I did not see any police vehicles downwind from them. There is a cruiser, if we want to say, at the top of the screen. There's one there, but they're tactically situated.
Right, and you brought up a good point, obviously, with all your experience, that they don't want to make or escalate the situation by getting too close right now. They want to stay back, let things calm down, try to negotiate with the suspect. Yeah.
Right now it's de-escalate. This is all part of that de-escalating process. Why charge them? Why get the armored vehicle up there? All part of the de-escalating process, and decreases the intensity, the magnitude, the anxiety, start calming down for the suspect. Just anything you can do to calm him down, because you don't want anybody to get hurt. You don't want him coming out with the gun in his hand. So, like I said, he even parked in a stall.
Right. I just saw that. Right. He parked and seems to just be hanging out and did it correctly. So this is all unfolding right at Promenade Way and East Thousand Oaks Boulevard. We're not, I'm not sure if he actually lived in the Oxnard area or where, since it started near Vineyard Avenue and southbound 101, whether he was already on the road when officers started chasing him, or if it actually, if they started following him from the house where this incident initially started. That's still unclear. If anyone else is inside the pickup truck with him, that I guess could still be a possibility, Dave, but we haven't heard otherwise.
No, that's a pretty big windshield. I haven't seen any movement over there, and you usually can see something, but you can't rule it out like you had mentioned. But, I don't think there's anybody else in that vehicle. But, you're always prepared. You take a and you have a precaution. So, and one thing I may be going on is that maybe the officers know that because they are with family members back at the victim's location, and maybe they have somebody there that's speaking to him. So they tell the officers on the ground, okay, hey, we're trying to negotiate. Let's just stand back, let things de-escalate, and we'll stand by and just see what happens and just hope for the best.
Right. And, as more officers are arriving here, they're trying to, I guess, surround the suspect. But are there still officers that will be blocking off, the roads outside of the shopping center in case he does try to run away again? Or is there a different kind of scenario that they're going to be planning on here?
Yeah, as you can see that some of the black and whites I think what they're doing right now is they're probably shutting down any vehicles from entering the parking lot. Now, as far as setting up a barricade, I don't believe they will do that. But it all depends, because it just seems to me like right now, even if I was in an air unit, they would just say, hey, air unit, why don't you grab some guys, just take it real nice. We want to de-escalate everything. We don't want the pounding of the blades to keep them up at arms, or we don't want, so I think that's going to. Now, as far as setting up a barricade, I don't believe they would do that, only because, we have so many civilians here. This is just loaded with so many people. If anything, I mean, if he drove out and pulled over on the side of the road, that would be so much better than where he's at right now.
Right.
Because as we've seen, people get curious. Citizens get curious, and they want to come out and see what's going on, or they just drive down there. Let's drive by and just see what's going on.
Yeah. And everyone's recording everything on their cell phones these days. So,
sure.
and they need to think about the safety and let officers do their job and not have to worry about other people getting in the way of that. So we're going to be taking a quick break in the next 30 seconds here. I want to thank Dave Avila. Dave, thank you, retired LAPD pilot, for the insight. Of course, we will come right back to this if we see any new developments. Dave, stay with us, though, on the phone just in case. But we're just going to hang with this for a few more seconds here and just see hopefully this can come to a peaceful ending, a peaceful resolution with how many officers they have. And it sounds like, maybe they have figured out who this man is, or in terms of, like you said, getting the family members on the phone to talk to him and try to de-escalate this situation, where it's come to an end in Thousand Oaks at a shopping center on Promenade Way and east at Thousand Oaks Boulevard. A chase of a suspect wanted for threatening family members with a gun. And this has, as far as we know, there have been no serious injuries, but we have not heard of that yet. But in terms of other pedestrians or civilians or damage to other vehicles, we also have not heard of any serious damage in the police chase that happened not only on the 101 freeway, but on a lot of these surface streets. So, suspect, a man who is wanted for threatening family members with a gun, and the police pursuit went from Oxnard to where it has ended here again in the shopping center, as I mentioned, as it had started actually near Vineyard Avenue. But he went through a field at one point. He jumped back on the surface streets, and also a spike strip was deployed, but he seemed to have missed that and has now come to a stop. And it appears that they are trying to negotiate with him. They are on the phone with him, as they had been contacted by those family members. And we have video right on the right of that officer trying to deploy the spike strip, but the suspect in the white silver pickup truck swerved and drove right around it and jumped right back on to another street. On the line with us has been retired LAPD pilot Dave Avila. Dave, here we are. Explain just the situation that these officers are in right now. We know we have the sheriff's department in a supporting role, but Oxnard police still there handling the situation.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, they'll, especially out there, they'll really back each other, just like we do with downtown LA. If it's a sheriff pursuit, and if they request, then we'll join them. But as I say, with out there, Oxnard, I'm surprised the CHP didn't get involved, but once they would have hit the freeway, they would have. And right now, we can see it's just a standoff. It's about the calmest you can get going on a pursuit like this, where there's a weapon involved, a family dispute. And I mentioned that before, that family disputes are the most important call that an officer can roll on because of the emotions that are involved. So you can imagine what went on in that house. This suspect does have a weapon verified by the victims, the family members. So now we're just going to sit back and just hopefully just calm this guy down. If he's not speaking to a negotiator, maybe the officers are with the family members that are speaking to him right now and just saying, we can solve this. It doesn't have to end this way. We can just step out. You can just step out of the vehicle. And meanwhile, as far as the police go, there's no doubt they're surrounding the area, not because of the suspect, because of the citizens, the shopping mall. If you notice, I haven't seen anybody walking out to their cars, so I'm sure they're telling everybody just stay back, do not enter the parking lot. Just trying to work that out. But yeah, there's a good shot there. There's a lot of room for him to leave on. We've got some units that are, actually there. I wouldn't say that's really a true barricade, but the the vehicles are deployed all the way around just to
Yeah.
keep more than likely just to keep the citizens out of there. They don't want anybody driving in there.
Correct. So they can focus on the job that they are there to do, to get this man into custody peacefully and to keep everyone else safe and putting everyone into that lockdown mode. Okay, Dave, we're going to take another break and we'll be right back. Heavily armed officers are moving closer and closer to this silver pickup truck where a possibly armed man, the driver, is still inside. They had chased the suspect from Oxnard. That's where this police chase started, right at Vineyard Avenue, and then moved down the 101 freeway and then back on the surface streets. But the driver here is suspected of threatening family members with a gun, so that's why they believe he is armed. And they have surrounded him in this shopping center in Thousand Oaks. This is actually the promenade at Westlake, a very popular area, but they have now blocked the entrances and the exits just to keep people safe, and they've put everyone else, no doubt, into lockdown inside of those stores as much as they possibly can so that they can focus on getting this suspect into custody peacefully. We have heard reports that they are trying to negotiate with him and, of course, de-escalate the situation, whether that be family members who've been on the phone with him or the Oxnard Police Department, as the sheriff has also been acting in a supportive role to give them some extra backup here. But this has been now just like this, what you're looking at, this standstill, the standoff for the last 10, 15 minutes or so, where this police chase came to an end. But, you know, at one point we also heard he sped through a field before jumping back onto some surface streets initially during the chase. We have not seen, since we've been watching, any damage to other drivers or vehicles. He had come to stop at some of the intersections, waiting for the lights, and then just continued on, even avoiding a spike strip at one point that an officer tried to throw out there, but he swerved around it, so that didn't work. But this is where it has ended. We have retired police LAPD pilot Dave Avila, who's been on the phone with us. Dave, thanks for the time.
Yeah.
We're going to have you just kind of stick with us through this in case we do see any kind of big movement here. But right now, we don't know how long this is going to take.
No, you know, the whole dynamics have changed here because of the what the suspect has done. You know, it's go ahead and he just pull off to the side, which is a good thing. But in the same hand, we have to worry about the civilians that are running some of these shops that would be downstream from the officer suspect. If you continue to the left, all those shops that are up in there. So what the officers may do, if they feel that it's going to be extended, they start pulling some of those people out. I'm sure there's a back door, maybe just having them exit the building and stuff, because as calm as this has gotten here in the last 10, 15 minutes, you still have to worry about the citizens in the area. You know, obviously we've seen that they blocked off all the entrances to the mall, so that way they have nobody coming out or driving in. And when we scanned over the parking lot, you know, you really didn't see any citizens out there walking to their vehicles. So the officers are keeping everybody clear of the location because this is a standoff. And it's good. It's looking right now. We're trying to de-escalate it as much as possible. Still got to worry about the citizens in the area. You know, it's citizen safety, officer safety, suspect safety. Mm-hmm. You don't want any shots being fired here. But this gentleman is going through some emotions, and you know, any type of family dispute, they're very ugly. And like I mentioned, that's one of the most dangerous calls that an officer can roll on to family dispute. And I'll say this because sometimes when you get there, all of a sudden you're the bad guy. So we don't want that with this individual. You know, we just want him to know, hey, you take care of your family business right there. Eventually you'll step out. We're not here to hurt you. We're not here to do anything aggressive. We'll stand back. We'll let it de-escalate. At some point, something has to be done. Don't get me wrong. But for right now, he's secured there. They may be evacuating those buildings that are off to the left side of the suspect's vehicle and keep those clear. Once that's done, then we can sit here and talk to him and let him calm down.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's been any movement. I think I see his arm up. Yeah, his arm's moving around inside, whether he's on the phone or not anymore. But yeah, you do now see some movement inside of the driver's side window. And that's a good point you had, Dave. Yeah, they got to go through and let people out the back doors, get customers out of the way before they maybe inch that much closer in case this does result in any shots being fired, which again, we pray that that does not happen. And they also want to protect the suspect, whether he wants to do harm to himself.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that may be what's going on right now because he's been in there a long time. And for everything that's gone on, we have no idea what kind of problem they had at the house. Yeah, he's had a long time in there to think this out. So, yeah, they may be doing that also, just saying, hey, we can work this out. You know, any problem can be solved. We just have to give it time. We have to get through this. You know, officers are going to stand back. Of course, we have to stay there. We can't just leave. But we have to just let this thing de-escalate. Right. A lot of it will be just with what he's doing. You know, like I said before, you know, the suspect's actions dictate on what the officers will have to do, how they'll have to respond.
Yeah, half dozen or so officers directly behind him. You have more officers at the entrances to the promenade here at Westlake, trying to get shoppers out of the way, make sure the suspect is also not going to do anything to himself or to others before they move in. This is a possibly armed suspect that they're dealing with here in that the silver pickup truck that has come to a standoff here at the shopping center after it initially began as a police chase up there in the Oxnard area. So, Dave, we're going to take another quick break and then hang tight and we'll see what happens next, and hopefully this comes to a peaceful end. Okay. They're live from Sky 9, but they're going to zoom in on the suspect inside of the silver pickup truck. An armed man there, whom police had chased from Oxnard after reports that he had threatened his family with a gun, has come to a stop here in the promenade at Westlake and has simply just parked in a parking spot, now surrounded by half a dozen Oxnard police officers, with the sheriff's department assisting as well. They've blocked the entrances and they're trying to get shoppers and drivers to safety and hopefully bring this to a peaceful conclusion. Amber, we're going to check in with you. Police chased him from Oxnard after reports that he had threatened his family members with a gun. So then after driving through a field and onto the 101 freeway and some surface streets, he came to a stop here at the promenade at Westlake and just simply parked in a parking spot. All right, so we don't know what this movement means. Dave Avila has been on the phone with us, a retired LAPD pilot. You know, a spike strip didn't work, Dave. You have maybe 15 seconds before we have to go to break or end the show, but what's going on with this movement?
They finally come to the incident commander or the unit commander, who's pretty much responsible for the post-incident of the pursuit, now a standoff. They'll go ahead and I'm sure they've been talking to people, and they either have to do what they'll do is they'll decide to move in and think that this is long enough.
Yep. And we have only about 5 seconds left, but we'll let our viewers know, of course, if anything big develops. Thank you for watching KCAL 9 News here at noon. Dave, thanks for the time. We continue to see where this guy goes. All right, bringing in our KCAL 9 viewers. Again, we just left you a few seconds ago, and look how things have changed. I'm Jasmine Veal. You're watching live from Sky 9 right now. What began as a police chase in Oxnard, it had come to a standstill, really, at a shopping center, the promenade at Westlake, and then all of a sudden the suspect, an armed man inside of the silver truck, took off again, right past officers, did not engage with him, let him go, but they are close on his tail, and he has now jumped onto the Ventura Freeway, the 101. So all of a sudden, he changed his mind after what seemed to be some sort of negotiations because he was wanted for pulling a gun on family members. So police were trying to talk to him after speaking with those family members, and then all of a sudden this happened. So not the outcome they were hoping for, a peaceful ending and to take him into custody and to figure out what was going on. But then he is back on the run. So this police chase is happening once again, on the 101 freeway, when we have retired LAPD pilot Dave Avila, who's been with us from the beginning of this thing. And it had really calmed down and it's just taken off again.
Yeah, here we go again. The dynamics have once again changed, you know, but sitting there in the middle of a mall with a lot of citizens all around, like they mentioned before, and that's a really dangerous situation to be in. Now he leaves, where I guess the negotiations actually went sideways. Now we're on the freeway. He's picked up speed, so
Yeah.
The emotions.
Really picking up. And you mentioned the emotions, and that's what seemed, and you warned about that. I mean, with these family type of, domestic type of incidents, that's the big thing, the emotions that come into play.
Yeah. Now, the scary thing now is that it looks like he's what are we up at the 80s now?
Mm-hmm.
We're before
90s, hundreds. He just stepped on it. Over 100 miles per hour, then he'll slow down, but he's over 100 miles per hour. And now really, it's so, I say erratic, but it could get much worse than this. When you have these type of police chases, especially on the freeways at high speeds, and you just hope other drivers can get out of the way in time.
Yeah. Like most of the time I've spoken to people before that had a vehicle go flying by them, and they had a few choice words for them, and then the police vehicles, they said, we had no idea there was a pursuit because of the speed of the vehicles. So, and this is just from my own experience from the ground in the air. If you see a pursuit coming towards you, we always tell you to pull off to the right, move out of the way. But when you're on a freeway like this, I would just recommend, this is my own personal feeling, it's just to hold your speed, hold on to the steering wheel, stay in your lane, because that suspect is going to go to your left or to your right, not expecting you to move. And we've seen, unless they were intentional, I have not seen that many crashes on the freeway. There have been some, of course, but we're this guy now. It's whatever happened, it didn't work.
It didn't work, unfortunately. And they had also, gotten shoppers out of the way. They had told drivers not to come into the promenade. I want to take you back. Do we have that video? Let's show the moment that this suspect decided to pull out of that parking lot, his parking spot that he'd been in for 30 minutes, and then just took off. And I think maybe it caught officers by surprise too. They're standing there in their defensive posture, and there he goes. All of a sudden just takes off. Officers scramble, try to get back inside their vehicles. They radio ahead, right, Dave, to those that are parked at the entrance and watch. They're not going to engage because it could obviously hit innocent people. So as long as he's not using his vehicle as a weapon, they're not going to just shoot into the car because they don't know the situation.
Yeah, you can be in a worse location than a shopping mall parking lot with malls and, stores all around you. Yeah, you're just going to let them just go. That's what we were talking about earlier, Jasmine, and that was, if they were going to barricade, and this is exactly why I think they would choose not to. It's just let them get out of there, because now you're thinking about citizen safety. You want to get them away, and, even though now we're doing in excess of 100, we're getting off here. Yeah,
and he went 101 northbound. I wonder if he's going back to the area that he knows, if he came from Oxnard, and they don't want him to now face off again with family members, because who knows where he's headed. Just exiting is he back on the freeway again? Did he just make a big loop through that park and ride? Burchard Road. Okay, so still on the surface streets, obviously. I didn't know if he was going to circle back around, try to get back on the 101. Maybe, obviously this might be an area he knows well, since it started in Oxnard around Vineyard Avenue. Driving through a field at one point initially, we have not heard of any serious damage or any victims that have been injured. But this is still early on, and I think the police are still trying to piece together those details. At this. The standoff didn't work. The negotiation didn't work during the standoff. So now what is the next step for these officers?
They'll just stay with the suspect. This is not one of those pursuits where they're going to do any type of tracking or surveillance mode. They'll stay with them because, like I said, there's a lot of emotions involved here. A man with a gun involved in a major family dispute. We don't know if there was any type of ADW, anything like that.
Oh, a guy on a bike. Oh, no. I thought I saw a guy on a bike in the middle lane, but that was a car. It just makes me nervous. Yeah. He's on a motorcycle, but it just makes me nervous, and he's just flying through these intersections.
Yes. Yeah, so they'll definitely stay with them because of the situation, the dynamics of the whole radio call and the pursuit, the standoff. And now we just got to see. And we had mentioned before, and I know we've both seen where they usually will go back to an area that they're familiar with. that they know. So, maybe he doesn't have any friends in this area, but he knows the major streets because this one's wide open. And, he may know how far it goes. But, we'll just stay with him here, see what happens. So like he's slowing down at the corner.
Right, came to all of a sudden a stop at this intersection. Maybe didn't want to take the risk of just driving right through and getting into an accident, which is a good thing for all the other drivers. Or maybe this is going to be that other scenario where he just now stops for a while and they try to get out and talk to him once again. From the shopping center to now this, just parked on the street.
Right. Yeah. We'll just see. It's like I said, they suspect dictates the officer's move, so we'll just see what happens here. These officers here are just, prepared. Hopefully that the suspect's door, or he'll put his hands out. I'm sure
they're going to block him in. They're going to. He snuck right by. Now, why didn't the officer? I mean, was he trying to do some sort of, I guess, a slow pit maneuver? I mean, is that, or are you just trying to simply just block him in there? And
I think he was just trying to block him in. That was a risky move, but I guess they just decided that this guy is a big threat to the community. So what we're going to do is we're going to just see if we can block him off ourselves. But he was too aware of that. I mean, he probably seemed pretty near the black and white coming around and said, "Hey, I'm out of here." But
and that seems risky too, knowing that he's possibly armed and that he could just fire.
Absolutely.
And the spike strip didn't work earlier. We also have video of that, if we can pull it up, from during the initial part of the police chase, where they tried to deploy a spike strip, and you're going to see that in a few seconds here. And the suspect was able to swerve. He saw that one coming, was able to swerve around the spike strip right there and keep on going. You see the officer right with the red spike strip, and then had to pull it back, and the driver just kept on going right in front of another car. And Dave, you said you were surprised that the officer was so wide out in the open. I guess desperate times call for desperate measures. He was just trying to get this guy to stop.
Yeah, his black and white actually was around the corner. Okay. That is such. It's just not this one in particular, but there have been officers that have been hit by the suspect's vehicle because they'll swerve not away, but they'll swerve into the officer, and I've seen that. I've seen video of that. It's just a very dangerous move. So, I guess it was, like you said, desperate time for desperate measure. But this is and every department has different techniques, So I speak for LAPD, and I know some of the sheriffs because we work with them, LA County sheriffs, and also CHP. We work with quite a few different agencies, Inglewood, a bunch of them. So they have different techniques and procedures. But I think they're, it's kind of like, okay, we're running out of options here, officers, real fast here. So it's up to the incident commander or unit commander just to keep this pursuit going and just see where this guy's going to end up at.
And went over that double yellow line. Seems to be, picking up speed, slowing down, but driving very, very fast for this street. This is Rancho dos Vientos, heading, and this was after he'd already been on the 101 northbound, and seems to be getting more desperate. And speaking of dangerous moves, can we pull up that maneuver by police just seconds ago? They were trying to box him in. So you're going to see what they tried to do at an intersection, and obviously that didn't work because you see right there, to the right of your screen, he inches by, just squeaks past that officer who didn't cut him off in time, if that was the plan, or to try to bring this to another stop. Took a hard right there. And that's what I'm worried about, Dave. Getting more desperate, picking up speed, exactly. Leaving the shopping center.
Yeah, and you called it. I mean, he's desperate. He is so desperate now. Now we're crossing the double lines. He did it on that one corner. Thank God there was not another vehicle coming around because I doubt if they would have had time to swerve out of the way, especially with the speeds that the suspect is traveling. It just having the sirens. The police sirens in the back. I mean, you know how it is. Whenever you're driving and you hear a siren, you perk up right away. I don't care who you are, you're going to perk up. But this guy here is just some of these corners that he's going right on the other side of the road.
Oh, yeah.
Just really desperate. You know, he's even fishtailed on one corner, just a couple of corners back.
Wow.
So he is really trying to get away. But I take it back. I don't know if he knows where he's going. I mean, this road just maybe he is familiar with this road going up into the hills here. I believe that one does cross over.
Yeah, I'm trying to look and watch our map, our tracker here, right? You know, he's now gone on to a pretty remote or a less industrial area, as you can see. But if he keeps going, he's going to pass the California State University Channel Islands, I believe. That's the directions he's headed. Right near the Point Mugu State Park is what he's been driving past, all that forest or the brush, all the brush areas. Not a lot of traffic on this road. Potero Road and Grill Ranch, it looks like in the Camarillo area, as he is continuing to head northwest pretty much at this point. Still reaching some pretty high speeds. Oh, I don't know if our tracker is trying to keep up, if he's just being that erratic, slowing down, speeding up. Not sure where he's headed, of course. I don't know if officers got a heads up from family members if he does have a house up here, if he's maybe headed back to a neighborhood, like you said, Dave, that he is familiar with. But look at that, no traffic at all. But look at that entire area. If he gets out and runs, that would be another challenge to try to find him there.
Yeah, that would be actually probably the best bet. Then what we could do is just set up some type of perimeter, and we could just pull the units.
I guess he couldn't get very far. Yeah, coming up behind a utility truck right now, passing that utility truck on the left, crossing over the line into the other lane. Luckily, no traffic was headed in the opposite direction.
Oh, very lucky. Yeah, right on the corner.
And very curvy, too. Yeah, you said he kind of fishtailed because he is going so fast around some of those curves.
Yeah. His anxiety sure has gone through the roof now, that's for sure. We thought we had him. Calmed down. It looked like it, but just something didn't fit right with him, and he's just mad.
Yeah.
He's mad at the world. He just got that thing floored. He's driving recklessly, aimlessly. Does not care about anybody out, even though there's nobody out there. He's just, let's see what he's going to do here. Grab the side of the road or no?
Yeah, really pushing the limit here. Oh, and just kind of went off the road. Again, another fishtail, a little out of control. Some of the ag fields, and now that's, initially he did drive right through a field. So this might be back to the area where it started, or nearing the area where it started, which was Oxnard, Vineyard Avenue. So maybe he knows some of these shortcuts. He knows his way around the spot, around these surface streets. A few details again on the suspect. He is believed to be armed after threatening some family members with a gun. That's how this all started, near Vineyard Avenue on the southbound 101. So he did make his way into Thousand Oaks to the promenade at Westlake, where there was a standoff with police, of him just sitting inside of the truck for about a half hour. And it seemed maybe officers were going to put it to an end and, take him into custody peacefully. They had the K-9 unit out there. They had blocked the entrances to the shopping center. Oh, and off the road again, just kind of swerving, kicking up some of the dirt. But now the chase started right back up. He drove right out of that shopping center, right past police cruisers who tried to block him in at one point at an intersection, but he has just kept on going at some very high speeds. And it's gone around a bend. Even our chopper struggling to maybe get some of the reception. And yep, it looks like we just lost the signal for 1 second. So we'll try to see if we can find him. If this thing goes further and further north, our chopper also has to refuel back at Van Nuys. So, we can only stay over this for so long and see what happens.
Yeah, and I believe that Huey, that's the Ventura Sheriff's Huey that's overhead. I'm not real sure. I knew they had one years ago, but I can't be sure. But looks like they're just on the other side of that hill. I'm not real sure where we are to Point Magoo. But if we were that close, then yeah, the airspace gets kind of tight. But I'm not real sure where we're at.
Yeah. Oh, he might have driven off the road. Okay. Let's see what's happening here.
Yeah.
We don't know why that person was out of their car.
Yeah, that black and white, the helicopter is doing not a ground effect hover. I mean, he's just hovering up there. But
maybe they've lost. Okay. We're trying to track it down. Officers had blocked off some of those other roadways. They had been stationed there, Dave, to make sure he didn't head that direction. But it was very strange that, you know, he just all of a sudden went behind that mountain. I mean, I'm sure they know where he is, but our chopper is trying to track the suspect, the truck's driver, down at this point. You know, we have some video. Let's pull that up. Let's show the spike strip attempt again. They have not attempted to throw down another spike strip. He's going way too fast on those very remote roads. So here's that video of the officer out there trying to deploy the spike strip. The suspect in the silver truck was able to swerve around it and get away. And then just a few minutes ago, as he left that shopping center, we want to go back to the, when he finally went into the shopping center, that's where he had stopped for about 30 minutes. But then he left. All of a sudden, he just turned the truck back on and drove right past officers. Okay, so we found him. Officers obviously never lost sight of him, but it always makes me nervous because, you know, you hope that they didn't lose sight of this guy. But they have the air. You have your own chopper overhead that won't lose sight of this guy. But you said it gets complicated when you fall into someone else's airspace.
Yeah, exactly. So they may or may not let you in, but you see the police only because they can stay down lower. I'm sure TV-9 helicopter has to stay up probably about 1,500 feet, 500, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. So they probably wouldn't be let in that airspace if they are where I think they are. But it looks like we're away from it now. But and I do believe that's the Ventura Huey, their helicopter, their air unit.
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah, and they've been assisting.
Yeah. So, yeah, it looks like this guy's actually slowed down some. I mean, he's
right. Maybe had a few scares on that curvy road where he hit some of the dirt and kind of fishtailed a few times.
Yeah,
all right, so back in front of these ag fields with all the ag workers, cars parked right along the side. You know, makes it pretty dangerous as people are crossing and going from field to field. This is Laguna Road that he's on and Wood Road in Camarillo. Yeah, so obviously not so much residential now, but you are worried about some of the workers out here in these intersections with the big ag trucks too. Dave Avila has been on the phone with us, retired LAPD pilot, offering insight into how these type of chases play out, and especially this one. Every chase is so strange and frightening, and these officers, you know, risking their lives every time. And he's pulling off on the shoulder. Let's see what he does. Coming to another stop. Okay, he is on the, it looks like he's holding his phone. He had a piece of paper or something in a ball cap. I don't know if it's a phone or a weapon. All right, cops have now pulled up right in front of him. He's just sitting in the car, and we want to pull back right away if any shots are fired, of course. He has his hands on his chest. They're going to tell him to get out, hands up, lay on the ground. They have the K-9 unit standing by. Dave, walk us through this.
Okay, what they're going to do now, if you notice, they have officers situated where if there's any shots fired, no officer will be hit.
Oh, he's going to try. Oh. Sorry, they got him. They're going to block him back in. Oh. He's walking.
Yeah.
I don't. They tackled him. So obviously he didn't point a weapon at them, Dave, but they don't know that. He could just have reached.
No, they don't.
Oh, man, how tense is that?
Yeah. You're going to take this guy down. I mean,
wow.
Because you don't know if he's got a small weapon in his waistband. Because you do know he had a gun. So, and this is such a remote area that, yes, like I said before, there's exigent circumstances that may present themselves where they'll go ahead and use a black and white to lock this suspect in. And this is one of those times.
Wow. And then they'll check the rest of his car and make sure, confirm that no one else is in there. And
Yeah,
they got him on the ground,
Camarillo
though.
Airport.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
see that's. But,
Coming to an end at Laguna Road and Wood Road in Camarillo. After a pretty tense few seconds there, as soon as that guy got out and just kind of looked, he almost was showing that he wasn't going to surrender easily, you know, taking a few steps toward those officers before they finally tackled him. Wow. Okay, Dave, well, I guess this is the best scenario in terms of no shots were fired. It's peaceful, that he's in custody, and we're hoping that all of his family. Yeah, no citizens were injured, and we're hoping all of his family members are safe as well.
I don't think you could get anything else involved in this pursuit. We had everything. So.
Right, and ending on a remote stretch of highway on a remote stretch as well. So.
That was a good place to pull him over and lock him in. Yeah,
right.
There was no sense of letting him continue. No sense.
They blocked him in very quick. Yeah.
Kudos for them.
Wow.
Great job, guys.